Hey, you're listening to episode 28 of the TA Pedals podcast. I'm Tristan.
I'm Stephon.
And I'm Beau. Hi.
So how you doing, fellas?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad you guys invited me. It's way out here.
Yeah, it is.
It's way out here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to, I was actually thinking if I can just go ahead and start talking to you guys on the podcast.
Let's go.
So your address is in Shady Point, Oklahoma, but this is Panama, right?
Panama is like, there's a mile stretch of road between Shady Point and Panama.
Okay.
And same thing between Shady Point and Poto.
Right. So I noticed coming in that Panama has home of and then a Razorback logo.
Yes.
But we're in Panama, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal with that is.
And there's Razorbacks everywhere, but I lived in Fayetteville, Arkansas for a long time. And that's the home of the Razorbacks. Are they is it the school mascot? I'm just really confused, and I'm hoping, like, as liaisons for Oklahoma in this area, that you could explain to me, like, how can that happen?
I don't know how it can happen. The best explanation that I have,
Because it
is
doesn't say Razorbacks. It just has the picture
right.
of an Arkansas Razorback, like the red Razorback.
The way that I think of it is that the people around here just aren't very creative, and they only know of like 4 animals. It's like a hog, a raccoon, an armadillo, and a snake. And so they're like, that one looks good. Let's just steal that logo.
It's so wild because before the podcast started, we were talking about trademarks, and I'm certain the Razorback is trademarked.
Oh,
right?
they have to.
They
It
have
has
to be because
yeah.
I think they sued. There was a Epiphone, probably almost 20 years back, released a college Les Paul special with the college logos and stuff on
yeah.
them. And they had a Razorback, and I think the University of Arkansas straight up sued them.
Oh,
and
my God.
They discontinued the Razorback. Yeah, and it's a Les Paul special too, a bolt-on Les Paul, $100 guitar.
Right.
I don't remember what they sold for new, but they're expensive now. If you go to find them, like Razorback guys are buying them up like $600, $700
Oh, my
for a Les
gosh.
Paul special too.
That's crazy.
And that was the last time I checked before the inflation had happened. But I was just, I'm blown away. How can they get away with that?
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
weird.
I really don't
It's really
understand.
weird.
They don't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm saying.
It would be understandable if it was like home of, and then it had like a boar or something, not Razorback red, not exactly like the logo for the college.
Yeah,
and I'm
it's the
probably
same one.
completely outing Panama right now. They're like, shh, come on, man.
We've had this going for 40 years.
And they're faded. Yeah, they're faded. It's like like any other college town. There's no college here, right?
There's Carl Albert State College in Poto, but
And a great college it is too.
Yeah.
That's a great college. I don't know. I didn't go to college.
it's a 2-year school. I went there for 5 years. So
You were that good at it?
Yeah, I was that good at school. I went there for 5 years and
right.
still didn't get a degree. So
But when you're in a college town, it's always like in Fayetteville, there's like Razorback muffler, Razorback donuts, Razorback, bookstore or whatever. And yeah, they straight up have like Razorbacks on the businesses, and they're all faded. I'm wondering how they get away with that for so long. It's weird.
now that I think about it, the Carl Albert logo mascot is a Viking.
Yeah. Because you guys are close to the Runestone, aren't you?
Yeah, like it's probably like 15
Is that Helena?
miles or something.
Is that Helena? Is that
Heavener.
Heavener.
Yeah.
Heavener. I've been to the Runestone. Have you guys been to the Runestone?
Oh yeah.
I have not.
You
It's
haven't been
rad.
to Runestone?
It's rad.
I don't really venture into Oklahoma that much. Just
Do you know what it is?
Nope. I
So,
know what a runestone is, not the runestone.
so right down the road, there's a big rock,
Okay.
and on it are Viking runes.
Oh, wow.
And in the like 20s or 30s, some lady, I don't remember her name. This is the most uninformed story right now. Some ladies doing research, and the locals would call it the I think they called it the Indian stone or something. And so she goes to the tribes and she wants to interview them and get some info. And they're like, oh no, these have always been here. Like, we didn't make these. And so they're big rune stones on this thing, on the runes on this stone. And so she's doing all these lectures about them. And then one day she's doing a lecture and some dude comes up and goes, I know what they say. And it was like, he says it's a Viking language that was used like it's a dead Viking language. And so they get into it. And it turns out that it translates to like Gloam's Valley. And they think it's a property marker and if you go there, you can see like where they think the Vikings came up the Mississippi River and like came and they were like, yeah, this is ours, or whatever. And but it's rad. It's all under like when I saw it was behind glass.
Yeah, it still is.
But you can walk around. There's like nature trails. It's tight out there.
Yeah, you have to like go down like all these steps and stuff to get to it, and it's probably 6 foot tall or something like that.
It's pretty big. It's big. It's pretty big. And Oklahoma, it's okay. You should check it out. Oklahoma's cool.
Yeah.
We might have to make a trip down there since you've never been. Sydney loves it up there, so
yeah. We'll have to do that. Yeah, I'm very interested in it.
It's cool. It's super super tight, and you can buy her book. And I went years and years ago. But it's really cool. I don't know what the topic was supposed to be for today, but it's runestones now.
Yeah, there is hardly ever a topic.
Did they
decide the topic after we do it?
Oh, great! Great.
Did they do like a history like check on it to see how old it is?
Again, I'm not very well informed because I was just a tourist going to check it out on my way to Mina. I think I took a detour and went and saw it, and not that I know of, but some professor like 70 years ago said he knew what it was, and there's a book over there. Maybe we'll go get it. We'll start a book club.
I wonder if like you could date the language.
Yeah.
Like and then see the last time it was used. Like
that's what he was telling her. He was like I study like Norse languages, and this is a dead language from like however long ago. I mean, we're talking. I think the year 800 ish.
Oh my gosh.
Is what they were thinking.
That's insane.
Yeah, like it's been a.
I mean, so like it technically predates like Indians around this area, because like Indians.
That's what the lady said is when she went to interview the tribes. They were like, no, this has always been here. We didn't put this here.
Yeah, because like the Indians didn't like really take over this area until we forced them to.
Yeah.
So, like,
yeah.
So like that predates.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Crazy.
It's really nuts.
They were the first ones here.
Yeah, and that's me remembering a chart that I read years ago. So don't quote me on the year exactly, but from what I remember, I think they're estimating like 800.
Yeah.
In the year of our Lord, 800.
Yeah, that's super crazy. But
I mean, I've heard people say that Vikings were the first ones to visit America, and like that kind of seals the deal a little bit.
What blows my mind about it is that it's so far inland. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's on the coast and they just sailed across the ocean, made it here.
That
and
was the
stopped.
thing is they had how did they get here?
Right.
And they say, well, actually, their boats would have been able to traverse the Mississippi River.
Yeah, because they were shallow boats.
Yeah, so they would have got on the Mississippi and then tooted over on whatever river. I'm not.
Horses.
I just told you guys I didn't go to college.
Bulls.
I have a high school education. So this is all me, at the tourist information spot. This is the information that I remember from
Surely
years
they
ago.
didn't cross the ocean without horses. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. I think so.
They would have surely had horses.
There's evidence that they went to like Canada, right? From they plot their course. Like the Viking thing is really cool, but there's legends of this land that the Norse people have that they think might have been North America, and they think they came over into Canada and then came down. I don't know. It's nuts.
I mean, it makes sense that they would have come straight over to Canada and then like come down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
how they
or
did
it's
it, who
aliens.
knows? That's what I think.
Could be aliens.
I think that guy who was like, "Oh, I know what this is." That guy's full of crap.
yeah.
Or maybe he was an insider.
Maybe he is an alien.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and he's covering it up. I don't know.
He's like, yeah, it's Vikings. It's not aliens, if that's what you were thinking. And
Definitely not.
The lady's like, I wasn't thinking it was aliens. He was like, well, it's not, so stop.
No need to think about it any further. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Needs no further investigation.
Brought my tea. Can you hear my tea on the?
Oh yeah, that's some ASMR.
I should
right
leave
there.
this. I should leave this cap off. Look, there's some of my cat hair on my tea.
I have that same problem. I have like this 17-year-old cat, and she sheds so bad.
I saw the cat in the window. Yeah. What's the cat's name?
Ramsey.
It's a she.
It's a she.
Ramsey. My cat's a boy, and his name is Alistair.
Alistair.
Alistair Kitty. I have the same birthday as Alistair Crowley.
Oh, okay.
So me and Alistair Kitty celebrate our birthday on the same day.
That's so cute.
It's pretty adorable. I don't get him anything because he's a stupid cat. He doesn't know. He is the laziest cat I've ever met. Ever since he was, I got him kind of little, and he just lays around and doesn't do anything. And he's kind of a sloth cat.
I think that's the best kind of cat.
Everybody who meets him loves him, and it's like, this cat's the greatest. He's going on 11, so he's kind of. I wish I could have brought him. I should have brought him.
Yeah, we could have had a play date. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got that cat when I was 13. I don't know her birthday, but I'm 30 now. Wow. And so that's kind of how I keep track. And
lucky.
Yeah, I think I'm going to end up having a 20-year-old cat.
That's great. That's really great.
Kind of weird to have an animal with that short of a lifespan for over half your life.
It's cool.
Until this point.
It's super cool. I wish I had some of my favorite pets for that long, but they die.
That's what makes it special, though.
Yeah,
that the time is limited.
Yeah.
And you'll always have them right here in your heart.
Yeah. You never remember the bad times.
Welcome to the PBS channel.
Yeah.
Right. I saw this really depressing commercial about this dad trying to explain to his kid why his pet died. And the kid's in bed and he's like, why did this have to happen? And the dad's like, oh, it's okay, son. Smaller animals have a faster metabolism and therefore their bodies decay quicker. And so they live only a fraction of what we live. I'm like, how is that comforting to that 7-year-old?
And kid's like, thanks, Dad. That makes it all better.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were a biology professor.
Did it stop him from crying about it, though?
I don't know. That's kind of where the commercial ended, to be honest.
I don't know what that commercial. I've never seen that commercial, but what a stupid commercial.
Yeah. I kind of loved it though, because it's just no comfort for that kid at all.
Oh man! Sometimes I really get annoyed with the shameless heartstring commercials where they pull it, where it's just because I'll cry like a stupid baby, and then right after I'll come to my senses and I'll be like, I'm weeping over a 30-second ad. What's wrong with me?
It's just what they wanted.
That's what they wanted, and
they're trying to pull me.
They had a formula, and they knew I would cry. Right. There was that Alzheimer's commercial or something where I don't remember what it was, but it was really sad. Grandpas and grandmas and stuff.
They always get you with that stuff.
You want to make me cry? Put a grandpa or a grandma in there. And have them if there's a lonely old person, I'll just lose it.
What about those commercials where she's like, I've fallen and I can't get up?
Yeah,
life alert,
weeping like a baby. Somebody help her! Right. Life alert, and then life alert came and helped her up. And they never finished that commercial because that commercial aired. I think I'm older than you guys, and not that I think I'm older than you guys. I'm absolutely positive that I'm older than you guys. And they had been airing that commercial since I was a toddler. Right. That commercial's really old, and they never concluded it. What happened? Did they come over and get her in an ambulance? Did they help her up? And she's like, "Oh, thanks," and they leave.
I think that her life alert didn't have good enough connection, and she just died on the floor.
Or they came over and they put a bullet in her.
Right. That reminds me of this sign that I saw. It was like a typical sign that a redneck from around here would have, and it had a picture of a big gun, and it said around here we don't call 911, and someone commented and said, yeah, when grandma when she breaks her leg, we just shoot her and put her down like a horse.
Yeah, there ain't nothing we can do for her. She gone to a better place.
Right. She's gone to be with Papa.
It's the way she wanted it. I think she stubbed her toe.
It was so funny.
She's lame, and I took care of it. Nobody in the family was man enough to do it. Luckily, I had this extremely huge assault rifle with basically no restrictions. And I am mentally ill, so I had a couple of them.
Had to down me a couple of PBRs before I took her out in the back.
I always shoot a little bit better after I've had a few.
I waited till in the middle of the night. She had to go out to the outhouse. I turned the street light off so nobody saw. I kicked that door open. I just blew her away. I just used the plunger and shoved her down the hole.
Yep. Funeral's Tuesday. Hope you can make it.
We needed a new hole for the outhouse anyway, so we just stuffed her down there, covered it up, and that's the burial site now.
Grandma, no. What a dark turn.
Yeah, I did not expect this. Sorry,
That's
all
the
you
way it
grandmas
goes when
out
I
there
show
listening.
up. When I show up, that's how it starts going. Vikings, dead grandmas, adorable kittens,
And trademark.
trademark, which I'm very interested in, but have no authority to speak on.
If there are any grandmas out there listening, I'm really sorry. If your grandson is showing signs of any mental struggles, you should probably
Get rid of them.
put him down before he puts you down.
It's him or me. It's him or me.
Oh my god, what were you gonna say?
I don't remember. I was just riffing. I didn't know if I could be a silly goose today, and I'm glad that I could.
Yeah, this is good.
So, how's business, Beau?
It's busy all the time.
Yeah.
I just got power today at my new shop,
Ooh.
which will be a work in progress until probably the fall, and then I'll move all my stuff out of my little spot and move it to my big spot, and then we'll see what happens.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah. Do you like stairs?
I do like
I've got stairs.
I love stairs.
That was my only.
So is it in like a
Worry.
loft?
Yeah, it's the whole upstairs
Oh,
of this
okay.
building that
Cool,
I'm moving
cool.
into, and there is technically an elevator, but it is all mid-century stuff in there. The front of the building says 1949, and the elevator is like locked. Somebody has put a lock on it, so you can't open it up. And there's like a pump room with the hydraulics and everything for the elevator. And I was asking the landlord, I was like, "Hey man, is that elevator a death trap?" And he was like, "I don't know when that thing was ran last. There used to be a dance studio in this spot, 1604 Rogers Avenue, Fort Smith, Arkansas."
Shameless plug.
479-551-3437. Give me a call. But yeah, there used to be a dance school. So, kids running in and out of that. So I assume they locked it up, but God knows when the last time that elevator was run. But my father, who was in Roger Cousins, who was in aircraft for a long time. He's also a welder, general contractor. He's like a real manly man, not like a weak wrist girly man. Like
One
me,
of
like
them
me.
burly folks.
Yeah, he talks real deep and he's real serious all the time. But I'm just kidding. He's kind of a silly goose too. But he was looking at it and he was like, "I think I can get that elevator running." And I'm like, "What do you know about elevators?" And he goes, "Well, in aircraft, there's lots of hydraulic systems. So I'm quite familiar with hydraulic systems." And he was like, "This is all pretty simple stuff." And I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna make the first ride." And he goes, "I'll make." He was like, "Yeah, it's only 8 feet, won't kill you. It'll probably just hurt you real bad. I'll do the ride." And he's kind of getting on in years now. So I was like, "Well, if you want to try it, I guess." But yeah, there are stairs to the showroom. And I'll have a showroom, a workroom. I'll have 2 lessons room, and then I'm gonna have 3 studios in the back. I've been calling A, B, and C, all large. And like I said, it used to be a dance studio, so there's mirrors on the wall and everything. So I don't know, rehearsal
big or go home,
space.
right?
Yeah, well, it's really not that much more a month, and I don't want to talk numbers,
Right, yeah.
so that we don't date this podcast. But yeah, it's really not that much more. It's about $250 more than I'm paying now if I count my storage unit, which I'm out of my storage unit now because I have so much more room. My shop now is like 700 square feet. The new spot is 3,700 square feet.
Yeah, that's massive.
It's a lot bigger. The showroom will be a little bit bigger than what I'm going on now, now and everything else. It's wild over there. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I just got power today, and I have the AC running as we speak. So when I get back to Fort Smith, I'll check and see how cold it gets. But it hasn't had power on up there for like 5 years.
Oh wow!
So it's probably got to shake some dust off of it, you know.
What's the building look like? Is it like one of those old brick buildings
Yeah.
that downtown Fort Smith is kind of known for?
It's old. Yeah, absolutely. It's old. The front of it says McBride, 1949,
Ooh.
and it's a brick building, and it's one of those corner buildings. There's diagonal streets on either side, so it's like a big triangle.
Ooh,
So
that's cool.
You enter through the skinny side of the triangle, and then the biggest studio is basically the whole back of the triangle. And it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
Hypotenuse.
I'll take your word for it. I have a high school education. No, I'm just triangle.
I don't know what he's talking about.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. You know, C squared's the longest side, and it doesn't matter.
I don't.
I failed geometry, but I remember that.
I know the equations, but I don't know the names of them.
Oh,
Yeah, so like if I need to find out an angle of a triangle, I know how to do that. If I know how to find out a side of a triangle, I know how to do that, but I don't know what the equations are called.
that one is Pythagorean theorem.
And
But
he's
it
also the
doesn't
music
matter.
guy, which is funny because when
He's the most educated
everything
guy.
I do, like as far as setting up and building guitars, that's all triangles.
Oh,
As
really?
far as the strings and the height of the bridge and where the neck needs to be set, it's all triangles.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
I'm really glad that you got Brody in there.
Brody's cool. Brody's a cool dude. I like him a lot. He also is kind of like me. He likes guitar textures. I'm not much of a technical guy. Like I like technical things, but I'm not very skilled as a guitar player. I kind of grew up 90s noise rock was kind of my thing, and punk and stuff like that. So I like really nasty guitar tones, weird stuff, you know, running marbles over your strings, you know, just whatever you want whatever you want to do. I like that kind of stuff, and Brody is into that stuff too, so we can talk about that kind of stuff. And I'm older than him, so I show him, like, here's this obscure band from the 90s, and he's like, oh my gosh, that's my new favorite band. Are
Right.
you kidding me? It's like, well, too bad, because they don't exist anymore. They have 2 albums, and you have to listen to them over and over and over and wish they had more.
Yeah, you know, me and Brody used to be in that band together, and so we've had some crazy experiences together. And as long as I have known him, he's always been interested in like guitar maintenance setups, like all of that stuff. Like he was always really passionate about it.
Yeah.
And you know, when I was in that band, it was probably 9 or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 8 or 9 actually is probably more likely. But even back then, he was talking about it. And I feel like he just needed someone to take him under his wing, or take him under their wing, and show him what's up, and really go over the fine details of it with them. And I'm really glad he found you and you found him, because I don't know, he just seems really willing to learn.
We had been acquainted, and he'd come into the shop. We talked pedals and stuff, and one day he came in and he was just like, if you ever need anybody around here. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know how good you think I am, but I just want you to know, like, I didn't go to school for this. I figured everything out. I've had a lot of help from a lot of people, and I'm more than happy to help you because I like you, and being around me is kind of not easy. I'm kind of an intense guy, you know. I like things. That's why I have my own shop, is I don't like people telling me what to do.
Yep.
And so it's kind of a, I don't want to say it's my way or the highway, but it's like, it's my way or get out of here, dude. But yeah, he had a lot of knowledge, but he was combing through the internet, which is usually a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like forums, and I do like some YouTube guys, but I think YouTube as a whole is, you know, people are trying to get views.
Yes.
You know, that's the whole, if you want to make money, that's what you do, is you got to get views. But when you're combing through forums, you know, there's some exceptions because there's qualified people on the forums. And maybe I'm not on the forums because I don't think I'm qualified or whatever. But I'm like, here are the things that work for me. You know, I've been doing it since I was a kid. And this is what I've learned. Here are the mistakes I've made, so you don't make the same mistakes, kind of deal. But it's been working out really good. He had a basic knowledge, but what he didn't have was the experience. And you can read and read and read, and you can go to school and you can do all this stuff. But until you see 1,000 guitars and set 1,000 guitars up, there, you know, every one is a beautiful snowflake and different in its own special way. So you got to kind of treat them like that. And you see a lot of, you know, he had the knowledge. He just needed experience. And I see a lot of guitars. So we've been getting a lot of guitars in his hands. It's cool.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. It took me so long in my guitar playing career to realize what you just said about every guitar being different, even if it's the same model. Like this Ibanez that I have right here. I went to Guitar Center and I thought that they would maybe only have one of them, and they had two. And I was like, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to pick whichever top, you know, looks better because, you know,
sure,
it's a really pretty guitar and whatever. And so I was like, well, this one looks better. And then like, so I'm going to get that one. And then like I had the guy, I was like, oh, wait a second, actually, let me play that one.
Yeah.
And so like he pulled it down and I played it for a minute and I was like, man, like I hate it, but like this one plays better.
Yeah.
It feels better. It's like, it just has something that the other one doesn't, but it doesn't, like the top isn't as pretty as the other one.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to go with the one that's more playable, you know? And so like a lot of people don't realize that every piece of wood is different because every tree is different. Every cut of the wood is different. They're different.
Yeah. Yeah. And luckily electric guitars especially have a degree of adjustability. So even if you get one that doesn't play great, I usually when you pick up a guitar and you say, man, this feels good, you're usually talking about, whether you know it or not, you're usually talking about the neck shape and you're talking about the action. Mm-hmm. So if the strings don't feel like, you know, they're too high or too low, and the neck shape fits your hand, then, you know, a lot of the other stuff is pretty adjustable. For, you know, when I would go guitar shopping, which I haven't been, well, I guess I buy guitars for the shop, but I don't usually personally shop for me anymore. I like Les Pauls, and so I went get a Les Paul. There were two exactly like it, and I played them both, and I knew that I could, you know, I can set a Les Paul up. You know, that's not a big deal. But what I did was I had them get a scale, and I bought the heavier one because at the time I was like, the heavier, the better it sounds, and that's not always true.
Right.
But I did want a heavy Les Paul for one reason or another because I hate myself and I hate my back. Yeah, I hate my back. And but I loved the way it felt. I was happy with the weight, and I hated the way it sounds. And I probably changed the pickups 5 or more times, and then I finally landed on the pickups that I wanted, and it was the pickup I like DiMarzio Super Distortions, and Ibanez and DiMarzio have been cahoots for a long time. So so Ibanez guys will be like, yeah, DiMarzios are cool, but I was doing DiMarzio Super Distortions for I had SGs in the past. I had all kinds of stuff, Strats and Tellys. I'd put a Super Distortion, it didn't matter, and for some reason I was like, I got to have a classy pickup in this. You know, I want an Alnico 2 magnet. You know, something that's real classically voiced, and then when it comes down to it, I just want to throw daggers of mid-range at people. I really just want to hurt people a lot. And the Super Distortion is just like the tone that I am used to and was happy with. So I ended up doing this carousel of different pickups and landing exactly where I always start, which is the Super Distortion. And then once I put one in there, I was like, oh yeah, this is rad. So now I don't even like think about it anymore. I just buy a Les Paul and put a Super Distortion in it and call it good.
So if you had like a signature guitar, that's what it would be.
Yeah, maybe. I did have a Les Paul. I've had lots of Les Pauls, but I had a Les Paul that had the Gibson Dirty Fingers.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that.
There are some. Well, the thing is, if you can figure out what magnet you like for a guitar, for example, DiMarzio Super Distortion, ceramic magnet, very hot pickup, overwound pickup, hot pickup. and that is Gibson's ceramic magnet. I think there's some old Gibson pickups that are, and other guitar techs are probably cringing like, oh, you don't know the lineage. But I think when Bill Lawrence was at Gibson, they were doing ceramic magnet stuff. I work on them. It's really hard for me to keep the history straight, but I like ceramic magnets. The Dirty Fingers, they were ceramic magnets. They sounded different, but in a good way, you know. So I rolled with that for a while. I was pretty happy with that. And I like super distortions in both spots, you know. I'm not. People are like, oh, how are the cleans? I don't know. I don't use them.
Doesn't matter.
I don't use them. I don't use the cleans. But yeah, that's usually. But that's a pretty guitar. I'm looking at it right now. It's a pretty guitar.
Well, thank you.
It's not a bad top. Looks cool. They were different though when you hold them side by side. What a lot of companies will do, well, maybe it's old practice, maybe they've got wise, but they used to do what they call like a photo flame. I don't know, probably Ibanez. I know Fender was doing them with their Korean Showmasters and stuff, but it's actually a graphic of a flame top. So you can usually tell what a guitar will have by the price point of the guitar. If the guitar is under $1,000, that's a veneer. You can't get a burl like that for less than $1,000.
Right.
And like if you buy a Les Paul, the tops are huge and then they carve them down. So, and that's an expensive cut of wood. So they're probably doing like thin veneers. I think the Epiphones do like a 1/4 inch top now for their like flames and stuff. And if it's a quilt and it's, you know, under a couple of grand, like that's either a very thin veneer or it's a photo. But they would take like a photo of a flame, Photoflame is what I've heard it called, and they'll adhere it to the top, and usually there'll be a burst around it, you know, and so that covers up the seam on a lot of them.
That's crazy. I
yeah,
had no idea.
The same with the Epiphone put out a Carina Flying V and Explorer. They're super popular, cool guitars, but it's like a 50s style, and I think they're mid to late 90s, early 2000s, and they say Carina, and the veneer is certainly Carina, but if you see one in natural, if you see one of those, pick them up, because they don't burst around them, you'll see the seam where there's just regular mahogany and then Carina on veneer on, but you know, that's how you get a cool looking top for, you know, less than a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up like how you like buying guitars and stuff for your shop, because I was kind of curious where those came from. I know you have like new and used stuff.
I do a lot of consignment. I don't carry a lot of new instruments just because well, one, I don't have a lot of space right now, and repairs is really my focus, but I like to have cool stuff. So I do a lot of consignment for people. I do technically have access to like PV and stuff, and I think a couple of new PV amps and backstages, but I'm literally a one-man. I mean, Brody's hanging out and helping at the shop, and he's making his money doing setups and stuff, but I'm really a one-man shop. I cashed out my 401k and maxed out all my credit cards to open this shop up. So I just don't, you know, I'm not Guitar Center, I'm not Sweetwater.
Right,
those guys will eat me alive. You know, I just work on them, and I like to have cool stuff for people to play with. Plus, you know, if you're getting your guitar worked on, you want to be able to buy strings, you want to buy cleaner, you want to buy straps, you want to buy a cord, you want to buy a capo, you know, that kind of stuff I have, and I have some new MXR stuff. I'm a Dunlop dealer, so I have cool MXR stuff. But you know, until I'm in a new tax bracket, there's no like loan options for me. That's a weird thing. Remember when the pandemic happened and they were like, take your stimulus check and start your LLC and then apply for a business loan, and then boom, you've turned your $1,000 into, and that's the stupidest advice I've ever heard, because that's not how that works. They don't just give money to new, especially if you start an LLC during the pandemic, which I started my LLC like 6 months before the pandemic. But, you know, I've applied for lots of business loans, and you know, I don't have any employees, so like the paycheck loans don't really apply to me, kind of deal. But I applied for a lot of that, and with the third party loan companies, if you don't make 1K or 100K, they don't even consider you for
What about a business grant?
It's you've got to. It's so new, and I got turned down for the a couple of business grants because the business was so new, and I didn't really make any money. If you look at my first year, which was really half a year on the books, like it's despicable. It's kind of like I spend a lot of money I spend a ton of money. If the shop, I think last year, let's say, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but let's say for the sake of argument, in 2021, the shop made like 50K or whatever. I probably saw about like 12 grand of that. Most of it goes to supplies and rent and
all your overhead and stuff.
All my overhead and stuff like that. So, and those are just like rough numbers, but yeah, it's just like, it's not there. But I'll be 2 in October. The business will be 2 in October. So it's nice to have a shop that people can drop their stuff off of, as opposed to me working out of my garage and being like a shady dude, in his garage. But I was a legitimate repair person at a big box store for a long time, so it's not like I'm just some dude. But people feel more comfortable. I think I would like to say Cousins Music is a classy, kind of cool place.
Oh, it absolutely
People
not
love,
pretentious.
People love your shop. Every time we mention your name, they can't stop talking about.
I just try to be cool, and you walk into some place, because like I said, I worked for a big box store for a long time. We won't name its name, but everybody knows what it is. I worked for a big box store for a long time, and they're so big, they can do, if you want a good price, go to one of those stores. If you want me to take time out of my day and rave about cool bands and cool gear and weird stuff, and I've got this thing and I want to make this happen, then I'm going to give you 100% of my time, and I'm going to make you feel extremely welcome in my shop. Like, I don't believe in that like tier thing where like, well, what do you play, PVs? Get out of here.
Right,
No,
yeah.
I love PV stuff. I love cheap amps. I love cheap guitars. I love expensive guitars. I love expensive amps. I love cool pedals that are made in Shady Point, Oklahoma. I like Boss pedals. And I like all that stuff. I just think there's multiple ways to skin a cat, and I just want to help you skin that cat.
Right.
I want that cat skinned. Sorry, Alistair.
Yeah, that's something that always like comes to my mind. Like whenever, I used to live in Oklahoma City, and I'd go to Guitar Center or some of the other like bigger music stores that we had up there, or whatever. Like when you walked in, they would just treat you like you were a dollar sign. And
well, yeah, because those guys make commission.
Exactly.
They make.
Exactly.
I mean, it makes it if you want to make money, you got to sell stuff.
Exactly.
Because otherwise, they're getting minimum wage.
Right.
And there are people who are happy to just stand there and make minimum wage. That's fine to them.
Right.
But if you want to be a successful salesperson, you have to sell things. And I'm not scared of selling stuff.
Right.
I'm happy to sell you things, but that's not my main concern.
Right.
I don't make commission. It's my shop. It's my business. I make the money on the repair. I make most of my money on repairs.
Right.
So I want to get things working right for you. I'm not trying to upsell you. I'm not trying to do this kind of sleazy car salesman stuff that they do. But that's how they make money.
Yeah, I can't blame them at all.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing
if you're
at all.
If you're great at selling stuff, you should be selling.
I completely
feed your
agree.
family,
I
or
completely
your extremely expensive drug habit. I don't care.
That's probably what it was for some of them. But yeah, like I definitely don't blame them for, like the employees for, wanting to sell things. Like, I worked retail for a while at like a clothing store in Oklahoma City. And they really pushed us to sell things and to upsell and do things that like the things that I had to do were kind of sleazy. But I don't like at that Guitar Center, those guys are really nice, and they're just trying to make a living. So I can't blame them for that, but it's just that really cool difference between one of those big box stores and a local shop like yours. Like, you get treated as an individual, I feel like, when you go to your store. And, that's, I mean, I think a lot of people are more comfortable with that.
Well, yeah, and like we mentioned that my store is like 700 square feet. So like, if I don't acknowledge you in my store, that's super duper weird.
Right.
Like when you walk in, we're right there looking at each other, So I like to think I'm a nice guy. I like to think, and I also don't want to say like the big box stores are bad, because
Right.
they're really not. And especially the Fayetteville big box store, Guitar Center, a lot of those guys are awesome, and they're super good, and they kind of make it feel like a hometown shop.
Yeah, that's for
and they
sure.
have like 150 guitars on the wall. So like, if you want a guitar, you might go check out one of those places. But I being as small as my shop is, what I get to do is I'll bring something in, and then I'll check it up and down. What I like to say is, everything you buy at my shop, whether it's a cheap guitar or an expensive guitar, you could take and you could play a gig with it, and it would function really great. You know, it gets set up, it gets cleaned, it gets all the loose ends tied up. There's very few exceptions to that. You know, sometimes, and like I said, a lot of stuff's on commission. So sometimes people will come in and they'll bring something, and if I don't think it's gonna work, I'll just say, I don't think I can. For example, some dude brought in this really nice Martin D series. It was from the 80s. I don't remember what it was. But it wasn't a D28. It wasn't a D35, but it was another D series, and it was kind of nice. But it was awful shape. It was in really bad shape. And I'm like, look, dude, this is a rad guitar, but it's in disrepair. It would cost a lot to fix it. I'm happy to fix it for you, but I'm not going to put it for sale in my shop as is, because I don't really sell projects. If I get projects like that, I'll get like pieces, bodies, necks, you know, stuff that's half done. And if I don't think I can put it out and make it reliable, then I usually put that stuff on eBay and just let people, you know, penny bid, starting bid, free shipping, just here, you know, just get it to buy my trash, basically. But yeah, and you know, they didn't want to put any money into it, and I just had to respectfully pass. So the buck stops with me, kind of deal. You know, I'm the quality control, and this is the way I always wanted to run a shop, is, you know, just to have integrity and be cool and be nice to everybody, and, you know, get everybody playing and have their stuff reliable. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I have the pretty high standard for quality, I feel like, and if I went to a store where I felt like the guy working there like didn't give a crap and he was just like gonna halfway do it, I wouldn't want to go there anymore. So like, you know, I don't know, it makes me feel good, you know.
Yeah.
Knowing that
well, that's why you go to a place, is because you don't want it halfway done.
Right.
You'd get, you know, your shade tree guitar guy. You know, I got a guy I know who sets guitars up, and he might be super awesome, but like, I've got a Google review page and everything. Like, my ass is on the line, bro.
Right.
Like, I take this seriously. You know, I want you happy, and I want you to come back, and I want you to tell all your friends about it, and I want to hear your cool band. That's the other thing. When people are like, yeah, I need this for a show, I'm like, what's your band like? And they're like, oh my God, this guy cares about my band. And it's like, yeah, bands are cool, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I want lots of bands to come through, and I want to be your dude, you know?
Yep, they need a dude like that.
Speaking of, I'm working on a guitar, and I might need some help putting it back together.
I am so happy to help you. I'm so happy to help you.
Yeah, I just tore it down, and I'm gonna I think it's gonna be a pretty cool paint job on it, and then.
What are you thinking of doing?
I'm gonna have like lightning running across the top of it with it like going from purple to black, and then
Cool.
maybe throw some crackle stuff on there.
I've been seeing Crackle Finishes making a huge comeback.
Yeah.
Crackle Finishes are like the rage right now. I'm not a finish guy. Like, I'll do touch-up stuff, but you can next time you talk to Brody, ask him like how much I sweat that stuff. I think to be good, you could dedicate your life to paint and always be learning. And I've painted guitars, and I've done touch-ups, and you know, you kind of have to do touch-ups on certain repairs, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. But when it comes to like doing a crackle or a lightning or anything like that, I don't have the time to dedicate to making that look super duper pro. Mm-hmm. I would love to get in with a guy who was great at painting that I could send a lot of work to, because I get it all the time. and the other thing is, I could always I tell people to go talk to body shops and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a hometown body shop, you know, they're usually pretty happy to paint a guitar for you. But where the disconnect is whether or not, if you want to do like a lacquer finish, it's real tough to find people, because you don't really use, unless you find a vintage car place. You know, all the old cars were lacquer. So if you have like a guy who's restoring some stuff, maybe he'll be happy to do some lacquer finish for you. But yeah, I'd love to get in that. I also love to find a really great amp repair guy. Mm-hmm. Would love to find a great amp repair guy. I've been going through a couple of guys, and I'm not super duper happy with I've been giving him my stuff to mess around with, and I'm not 100% satisfied, so I don't really feel like branching out into like customers. I got a dude I'm happy to send like speaker recones and stuff to, but most of these guys do it on the side,
right?
So the wait is long. There's a really good dude in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I'm in Fort Smith, so it's real tough for me to just toot up the bypass for an hour and 20 minutes on one of my days off and take him stuff. So you guys keep your ears peeled.
Oh, I have been.
If you know a good amp repair guy. I mean, I was given this guy he's a good electronics guy, but he's not an amp guy. Like he doesn't play and stuff. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but guitar players are super picky about like aesthetics and how things work and everything. So I just wasn't comfortable with hey, this guy wants to put an effects loop in a Bassman or whatever, something like that. Stuff or in a JCM 800 or something, that's a pretty common mod to do. Or he wants to add a preamp tube to this guy. Is when you get an electronics guy who graduated electronics school in the last 50 years, they don't know a ton about. I mean, they might know about. They might like, here's tubes. We used to use this for all kinds of stuff. It's obsolete now. Here's stuff that's going to get you job placement. Nobody's getting placed in tube amp repair,
right?
Because it's such a little niche little area. So finding a dude who's comfortable working on tube amps and modifying tube amps and doing kick-ass guitar stuff is hard.
I wonder, have you discussed anything with Homer about this? Because he has an amp that he and a friend built from like scratch.
The Ombre.
And it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I've actually been talking. I want him to bring that to me so that I can play it, because I've heard the lore of the Ombre.
Yes.
and I see it in his Doom Dungeon videos, and it's supposed to be like an 800 from what I understand, like a JCM 800, and I'm super into that. But I have talked to him about that, and from what I understand, it was like a kit, and you follow the kit instructions and you put it together, and like maybe his friend, I'd have to talk to Homer to know the details about it, but and that's the thing with me is I can change tubes most of the time, and I've like recapped old Fenders, and it's all stuff that's my stuff that I've done, and I've electrocuted myself on an old Sovtech and stuff like that. But I'm not an electronics guy, so troubleshooting things is kind of hard for me. If it's a really good amp guy will be like, oh yeah, that sound, that means this. Like you're working on a car, or like I'm working on a guitar. When I hear a sound, I know what's going on. So finding a dude who can really know the in and out, and I do have a guy in Fayetteville, but he's so busy with his day job making money feeding his family that he's straight up like, I'm happy to do repairs for you, but like there's really not any money in it, unless I'm doing it full time and I make more money doing this other thing. It's just really a hobby kind of deal, and that's great. But man, I think I could make a really good amp guy a lot of money just by having him pick up from me and then having him repair customer guitars.
What's up with that guy who brought you those 3 amps that he like handmade? Like,
yeah, so he is him and his dad build those amps, and his dad is like 90 years old, and he graduated electronics school in 1960, I think, which is so tubes is his wheelhouse, and they modify Hammond organ things, and I've talked to him. He's comfortable if it's an old tube amp. He's comfortable. Anything modern, he's not comfortable messing with. Yeah.
It's finding the best of both worlds. Like I feel like I would be more comfortable messing with a newer amp than an older one.
Yeah. See, I'm like, if I open an old Fender, I kind of know what I'm looking at, But yeah, he sold an amp. It was a modern Fender. I sold it for him at the shop on Consignment, and the reason he was selling it was a nice Fender tube amp that was only a couple years old, and the reason he was selling it was like, man, when this thing breaks down, I don't want to get into it. I looked in it and it's like circuit board on top of circuit board on top of circuit board. I don't want to mess with that. So he's, if it's if it's an old organ or an old, hand wired tube amp, he's happy to look at it. But other than that, no luck.
I've been kind of interested in getting in touch with him because I want to get into.
I've got his number.
World. I'd love it. I would love to get it from you. Because I don't. It's like one of those things where I don't want to do the wrong thing and electrocute myself, like you said.
So, real quick, I know you're mid sentence, but
it's okay.
If you've ever wondered what 420 volts feels like, I can tell you, and I'll tell you, I wasn't touching anything in the amp. I had my bias probe on the power tube socket, and I went to move the meter to get it out of my way. And what I didn't realize is that there was a frayed wire on the lead, and it was frayed just enough to where when I grabbed it, my index finger touched the wire, and it was straight up reading like 420. Like I could see it reading that, and I was in my living room. And my girlfriend at the time, this was years ago, my girlfriend at the time was in the kitchen. It was like an open floor plan. And she heard me go, ah! and saw me hit the ground. Like I hit the ground, and I like took my breath away, and I was like looking around, and she was like, "Oh my God, do I need to call an ambulance?" And I'm like, I'm fine. It felt like and there are dudes like rolling their eyes, listening to this. I'm sure like this freaking idiot, but it felt like someone hit my shoulder with a 5-pound sledgehammer. That's what it felt like. It felt like somebody swung a 5-pound sledge, hit me in the shoulder, and knocked me down to the ground.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
the most wild feeling I've ever felt before. And I was like, I'm gonna stay out of tube amps for a while. I'm gonna stay back, but now I'm happy to, I've done little maintenance things on my amps, and gosh, did I learn a lesson? Could have went bad. I was doing the keep your hand behind your back kind of deal. I was being super careful, which was the thing, and I just didn't see. I went to move the meter and grabbed it, and just my index finger just barely touched that lead wire, and bam-o, brother, there I was on the floor like an idiot.
I wonder why it was in your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wonder why the center of pain went straight.
It was why it felt just like bam,
Maybe
like somebody.
that's where the arch is at.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
That's
straight.
wild.
It's straight from here to here, and then it bends right there. So maybe
It was on the way to the heart.
It all
It's on the way to the heart.
It all converged into that one spot.
Maybe it cleared out some of that cholesterol. I don't know. I say, oh man, a bunch of people think this guy's stupid. But let's all remember, Les Paul electrocuted himself pretty bad, and he almost died. And he was a god among men.
Lots of people have
I
been
hold him in the highest regard.
electrocuted. So
Yeah, and most of them will tell you, don't do that.
But yeah, I've been wanting to get into the tube amp world, but I don't know where to start. And so I feel like
As far as like just maintaining them or
building them from scratch. We've done the pedal thing and some kind of, familiar with circuitry and schematics and whatever. But with an amp, it's kind of a different thing, but it's kind of the same.
You source your own parts and everything, right?
Yes.
So I've got a book that I will let you borrow, and it's called Build Your Own Tube Amp from Scratch.
That sounds perfect.
I bought it on eBay more than 20 years ago, and it's a straight up self-published book. I can't remember the author, but he made two of them, as far as I know. And the first one, he explained. There's several projects in there. The first one is like a 1-watt tube amp, and I think some of the parts were kind of obscure, but so it goes from simplest to largest. The largest project in the book is an old school bassman circuit, the old 410 bassman. So and he shows you how to bend the chassis and drill the chassis and everything, and he also encourages harvesting parts from other things, going and looking around. So he'll tell you what transformers you need, and all this. He'll give you. There's a full parts list. There's a step by step, and it's something that I just really never took the time to source everything. And I think I looked once, and I think the 1-watt one had some obscure transformer that was just like really. And if you go onto like Mauser, for example,
Right.
It's to me, it's so overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
And if I buy the wrong thing, just one little thing off, then I've waited all this time and it gets here and it's wrong, and then I got to redo it. That's why I miss the days of like real monster Radio Shacks where you could, you got lots of parts and everything. I think there's one in Fayetteville that's pretty good.
They still have Radio Shack?
In Fayetteville, I go. That's where I buy my solder and my desolder and my electronics cleaner, and they have.
I didn't even know Radio Shack was
on the corner at Sycamore in College. Yeah, it's been there I think since the 70s, but they're independently owned. And they've always, Vaughn owns them, and Vaughn's the metal recyclery out there. They also have a battery store out there in South. So they run South Fayetteville, brothers. But yeah, it's a good one. They straight up got drawers full of capacitors and transistors. And in a pinch, great. I'll go out there. But yeah, if you're ever in the Fayetteville area, check that Radio Shack out. It's pretty rad. It's a good one. There used to be a really great one in Siloam Springs. I think a dude who was into ham radio ran it because it was just, for a electronics dork, it was just a playground. But it's long gone. But I think the only Radio Shack that I know of is in Fayetteville, and it's still pretty rad. It's pretty good. They have all your, phones and drones, kind of stuff that they pivot. They're trying to keep their head above water, but it's really good. But yeah, I'll let you borrow that book. I think you would go far with it. And you can always buy like a kit, but from what what other guys have told me is the kits are nice because everything's there for you, but to make it affordable, because if you want to build your own amp or guitar to save money, don't, because you won't.
Right.
I'm sure you guys learned that with pedals too.
Oh, for sure.
It's like it's a lot more work, which is kind of worth more than anything.
Yeah.
Really. Your time is kind of the most valuable thing that you have. And when you start shopping for what people are like, oh, why are Les Paul's so expensive? And it's like, well, go shop for the wood alone. It's pretty expensive to build a guitar. Plus, you pay the Americans to do it.
For sure.
So of course, the Epiphones and stuff, they're all made overseas. But then that's how you save that money, and the skinny little tops. But yeah, if you want to save money and build your own amp or guitar, just buy one.
Right.
Just buy one ready to go, because you'll save so much money doing that. But if you want to do it to learn it, the kits are nice because everything's all together, but they got to skimp a little bit here and there.
Right.
Plus, the dude who builds those amps that I have on consignment at the shop, he harvests all his stuff from old Hammond organs. Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah, the thing with that is they're like old pianos, and so the tube ones are always super heavy, because they've got the iron in them and they're using hardwood, and they're nice. So you can't sell them because no one wants to buy them and move them.
Right.
So if you want them out of your house or church, you have to give them away.
Yep.
Quick story. I was given a piano once upon a time. Me and a roommate were recording bands, and we had the previous owner had turned their 2-car garage into a studio with like a live room, a dead room, and a control room. It was rad. The guys in Deadbird, I don't know if you guys listen to Deadbird out of Fayetteville. They're a super awesome doom metal band.
I'll check them out.
Oh my gosh, you've never heard Deadbird?
I've never heard Deadbird.
Oh man, well, yeah, I can't wait for you. They have 3 albums. They're all fantastic albums. But yeah, the 2 dudes in Deadbird are brothers. The drummer and the singer and guitar player. They're Deadbird, and there's a whole band, but members in and out, but those 2 are constant. But they built a little studio in their house, and it was awesome. And me and my buddy rented that house for a while, and so we were doing demos, and somebody was like, "Hey, my mom is moving out of her house, and she has an upright piano, and she cannot sell this piano, and knew that you guys did music stuff, and wants to know if you'll come pick it up. Do you want this piano?" And me and my roommate are like, "Yeah, we want a free piano. I can't play piano, but are you kidding? To have a piano in the studio, that'd be great." Never in my life will I ever do that ever again. It's moving a piano, and I'm kind of you can't see me, but I'm kind of a large man. You know, I'm not buff or anything, but I'm 6'5".
Right.
I've got some muscle and some leverage on me. I can get my arms around things. Me, a dude my size, and then I think 2 other dudes, a pickup truck, and some plywood. It was the hardest thing. And I've quit smoking. You know, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do next to quitting smoking. And as soon as we got it in there, we looked at each other, me and my roommate, and we were like, never again? And he was like, yeah, never, ever, ever again. As a matter of fact, he was moving out of that place eventually. And we knew a guy who was running a studio with like a tape machine. He had like a legit studio. And we were like, hey, do you want a free piano? And he did what we did. And he was like, absolutely. And we were like, if you can move it, it's yours. And he was like, yeah, with you guys' help. And we were like, no. We are not helping. You have to get your own help and get it out. And you have this much time to do it. And yeah, it's the worst. So my point being, people give away these old organs because they're so large and heavy. They're not like a player piano heavy, but they're still pretty darn heavy. That, you know, if you can get a couple of guys in a truck, you can get them out of there and then pull it apart, throw the keys in the trash, keep the chassis and the transformers, and you can get some really cool speakers out of those guys. You know, old cool speakers. And from what the dude tells me, it's really easy to modify them into different circuits. But I'll give you that book, and I'll let you go nuts with it.
Okay, sweet. I'm ready for a deep dive.
It's really, really cool. I think if you had like a little, because I think there's a champ circuit in there, which is like 5 watts volume tone. If you had a little champ in here just for the lush tubiness, you could, you know, have a speaker cabinet or something that because he shows you how to make chassis. You know, you can you build your own box. You know, do whatever you want with it. But here's the chassis with the tube amp in it. So guys, a little champ. You know, that's what Laylo was recorded with. You just crank the champ up and.
Yeah, and plus I'm a huge fan of like clean Fender tone anyway. Like I've really gotten into like, you know, I obviously don't have a tube amp in here, but I use my Axe effects, and almost every clean amp I use is like some sort of Fender model.
It's kind of the end all be all of clean sound. You know?
Exactly.
It's one of those, you know, you got to have it. I used to get those. I don't know what the price. Everything's gone up, but I don't know what the price is now. But Epiphone made a Valve Junior that was just a volume, you know, tube amp, like 5 watts, and they were extremely popular. I had one in the little studio we messed with. My roommate he was the gear guy. I was the guy that put the mics up in. But yeah, those are really cool, and I've seen mod kits for those because they're really simple. I've seen mod kits that you can turn those into a standalone reverb unit. So you just turn the tubes into a reverb driver, and you get a pan. So then you've got like a surf reverb that you can put all over stuff. Never did it. But,
I've seen people make reverbs like that. Using like parts from organs, and then use a license plate to make a plate reverb.
That's tight. That's
like
super
attaching
tight.
Springs at each corner.
That's
and
super
suspending
tight.
It's people are really creative with that kind of stuff.
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. Very unique.
I'll get people bring in instruments that they make to the shop all the time, and I'm always super stoked to see them. Like guys make dulcimers like out in the hills. You know, those are cool. I had a buddy who he made 3-string cigar box guitars, but he would use license plates for tops and like finishing nails for frets and stuff. And
that's crazy.
I just love like all that salvage stuff. I built the buddy who we were roommates and we ran the studio together. I made him a bass, and he's in a really great band. Andy from Mudlung. Have you guys heard Mudlung? They're opening for I Hate God soon. That's gonna be a big deal at George's October 2nd, I think. But he's in a great band. I built him a bass, and I like to repurpose a lot of stuff. So there was a lot of repurposed things. But I did his inlays with coat hanger. I clipped up. I just drilled. So it's coat hanger dots on the front and the side. Because my wife is like, no wire hangers. It was her thing. So when anytime you rent or buy a place, you open the closet and there's like 50 wire hangers because nobody takes them with them. So she was like, take these all to the garage. I hate them. And I was like, what am I going to do with all these coat hangers? I can't just throw them away. So yeah, I started chopping them up and clipping them and making inlays out of them. And they look, when you file them down, they look kind of dull, brushed aluminum, silvery. I don't know actually what they're made out of.
Like those ones right there.
Yeah, but that's probably some punk ass plastic. I don't know. But yeah, they end up looking really cool. But he like was looking at the base and he was like, dude, because I surprised him with it. He was like, dude, this is crazy. And I was like, the inlays are coat hanger. And he was like, what? I love that.
Coat hanger.
Anybody else would be like, ew, that's weird. Looks cool though.
It's not really music related, but I used to hate wire coat hangers too, and I would cut them up as a teenager and make little needles, and I would like sharpen them, and I would use them like throwing knives and like stick them in wood. And
Were you fighting crime? Why would you do that?
I had a group of 2 friends, and we would like throw knives
They
and
thought
stuff
they was ninjas.
At each other?
It was like at the peak of Naruto, and I was like 16.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
It's a ninja.
However
anime.
old you think I am, add 12 years to that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, like it's like a
I look
ninja
12.
TV show.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I know.
So we were
I think I
throwing
know.
knives and stuff, and then I was like,
Ninja Turtles. I know Ninja
yeah,
Turtles.
There you go.
Are they
It's like
Is
Ninja
Naruto
Turtles.
like Ninja Turtles?
It's like Ninja Turtles.
Is it like
kinda.
Ninja Turtles? And they're like,
There's-
just tell him it's like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
It's like Ninja Turtles if the whole population were Ninja Turtles
Whoa.
yeah. Everyone's a turtle.
All right.
with
But yeah.
ninja,
Everyone's a turtle.
ninja skills.
That's cool. That's cool. It sounds cool. Sounds
Yeah,
dope. Everybody's got a van.
No, I don't think cars were around during that time.
Oh.
It was before
It's like
cars.
primitive ninjas.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
like a period piece.
Yeah, kind of.
It's weird. It's a hard show to describe.
Okay, next episode,
Yeah.
you explain Naruto's front to back to me and get my reaction.
There's like
Jeez.
there's like 700 episodes. So I'm down.
I can't wait. I can't wait. My wife, Megan, the one who hates wire hangers, and to her credit, wire hangers are terrible.
They are.
They are really terrible. So she's right about most things. But she's a big badass businesswoman, and she doesn't have time for childish things. So like, I really like movies. I really like movies, and I really like music. And when she doesn't like anything, if there are stakes, like any kind of high stakes or action or suspense or anything, she'll just completely disassociate, get on her phone and stuff. She just doesn't want to deal with that kind of stuff. So she'll watch like really light, like I'll enjoy lighthearted because I like all movies pretty much. So I'll watch like lighthearted movies with her, and but I want to start this podcast with her. And I'm getting this idea down so nobody steal it. Where me and my wife watch classic movies together, and then she tells me why she hates it. Because one time we were looking for something to watch, and I was like, have you ever seen Chinatown? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, that's one of the classic movies of all times. It's a perfect script. There's no plot holes in this script. It's regarded like, they teach it in film classes. Like, here's a perfect script, Chinatown. And we watch. Have you guys seen Chinatown?
not.
Guys.
I've heard of it, but I don't
Guys,
think.
starring Jack Nicholson. It's a classic. It's a classic movie, guys. All right. So however old I think you
sorry.
guys are, I'll take 12 years away.
Right? Yep.
But it's a classic movie, and for people who have seen Chinatown, this will be funny. It might not be funny to you guys, but we get done watching Chinatown, and I was like, Megan, what do you think of that movie? And she's like, that movie was so stupid. It wasn't even about Chinatown. And I was like, well, Chinatown's a metaphor. And she's like, yeah, I know. I'm not an idiot. I know that, but I just hate it. And I thought that was hilarious. I was like, oh my God, I love you more and more every day. I think, and she just tears it to pieces because it's not about Chinatown. And then I get the inkling. I want to watch another classic film with her. We watched Taxi Driver. Have you guys ever seen Taxi Driver?
I haven't.
Come on, guys.
I've hardly seen any movies ever.
Listen, if it's a movie that predates the early '90s, chances of me seeing it are pretty low.
Taxi Driver's a good movie by Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro as Travis Bickle, the taxi driver.
I'm so sorry we've offended
No,
you.
it's just funny. It's just funny where it's like, my dad will tell me some obscure movie from like the 50s or 60s, and like, you ever see that? And I'm like, I didn't catch that one, Dad. Sorry. But anyway, we watched Taxi Driver, and for people who have both seen Chinatown and Taxi Driver, they'll know all of it. Two classic movies. We watched it, and I was like, Megan, what'd you think of this movie? And she goes, well, at least it was about a taxi driver. So yeah, I got to start a podcast with this woman. Her voice must be heard.
I like that she's just straightforward. Like, she's like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
Yeah. She was mad that I wasted her time. I could have been doing something important.
Oh my God. Well, we're in an hour and 10 minutes. You guys want to keep going, or
I'm down for whatever you guys are down for.
Let
me make sure this text is not important.
I say we go ahead and close it out, and then we can play some tunes.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Cool.
Well, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode. It's because of you that we keep doing it. All 20 people who currently listen, it's because of you, and we love you. And thank you to Beau.
I'm happy to be here. I'm glad we did this. This is fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Where's your bathroom?
Right down the hallway
Down there.
on the
It's
left.
the middle door on the left.
The middle door on the
down,
left.
and down
Yeah,
there. All right, close it
absolutely.
out. I'm gonna go to bed.
All right. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.